When a guy comes to the door, you can't push him off. This is to tell him. I told him, gotta get whatever. Some things can't wait. So what are we gonna do? So
Tell him to come join.
What?
Tell him to come join.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. All right, good talk. Oh, Aaron Kaplan's on. Okay, Zok the Mishnah, yeah?
Good luck.
So your son, Shabbos davening, mamish gewaldig.
I heard. I go away for Shabbos and he davens. Look at this.
I know, that's what I'm telling you.
Guy has a shul in his backyard, doesn't daven for a year and a half.
There you go.
Baruch Hashem.
Stay here.
All right, Zok the Mishnah, yeah? Chavav and Beis. A lot of drushes tonight. Okay. Yeah, Chavav and Beis with the we're all good. Second Mishnah. Fine. Okay. So I'll Korav. Right. So we're going through the last Mishnah. It says how many Kaihanim it takes to carry up the Evarim of the Dar. So I'll Korav ba'acharasa. The Ayil is brought with 11 people, right? So an aisle is a lot more, right? So the habasar b'chamisha, the basar takes 5 kaihanim to bring it up. That's the same. Rashi says the same as the keres. Hakervayim v'hasoilas v'hayayin. Then you have the kervayim and the soilas and the wine, right? What did you say?
Where are we at?
We're on the second Mishnah. Yeah. I'm Chavav Beis.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Tzvi Yaakov,
Yes.
the Gemara brought by the head because the base of Shechita was covered in blood, that they covered it with the regel. But the kirbayim, did they take that in a keli?
Did they bring it in a keli?
Yeah, how do they take it to the Mizbeach? They're not exactly fun to carry. I mean, they're.
Oh, I didn't know I wasn't a clean. I didn't know that being a kohen was a fun job necessarily.
No, we had about their begadim that they had to keep them clean for the dashem, Lamashal.
Right.
So did they take the kirbayim up in a keli?
I don't know. I have no idea. I thought not, because I don't know, maybe it's a chatzitza. Could that be?
Well, the dam is in a kli. Why? I mean,
well, dam, how are you going to carry? You can't carry the blood unless it's in the kli.
That's true, but I mean, therefore it's not a chatzitza.
That's what I would think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought it's not, but okay. Either way. Kervayim is v'asoilas v'yayin, and the flour and the wine. V'shnayim, that's 2 each. Right? So what's a pshat? It's 2 instead of 1. That means it was very heavy. Right? So since they were heavy, they needed 2 people. They needed 2 people each. Now, did they split it or they carried it together? Meaning, did they carry it like you carry a box together, or did they say, okay, you take half, I take half? I don't know. Fine. Par korev v'esrim v'arba. The par, now that's a lot more. That's 24. You need 24. Harosh v'haregel, the head and the foot. Right. Remember we said last time. The roish goes together with the back right leg, not the left. Harosh be'echod v'haregel b'shnayim. There the roish takes 1 and the regel is 2. Yeah. Ha'oiketz v'haregel, and then the tail and the back left leg. Ha'oiketz b'shnayim v'haregel b'shnayim. The oiketz is with 2 and the regel is with 2. Ha'chazav ha'geira, that's the chest and the neck. Ha'chazav ha'echad v'hageira b'shloishin. The geira is b'shloishin. Is the drumming bothering anybody? You hear or the drumming? It's the drumming bothering. Well, it's okay. Tell me. Okay. I don't know. Nobody's saying it.
I can't hear it. Can I do it louder?
We could do it louder. No, if the other kid stops hearing me, let me know. Yeah, shtei yadayim. B'shnayim, the two, what do you call it? The two front legs is with two. Shtei tefanos b'shnayim, the two flanks is with two. Now, right, and there, kerbayim, v'asoilis, v'ayayim, v'shloisha, that's with three, meaning three each. Yeah, so that gets us to 24. But remember, karbanas tzibur, this is all by karbanas tzibur. Have a carbon yachid, but a carbon yachid, in rotzel hakriv makriv, if he wants to be makriv, he could be makriv. I mean, he can bring up, if it's a carbon yachid, then he could carry it all up himself. He doesn't have to share it. Yeah. Yeah. But cutting up the animal, meaning cutting off the skin and then cutting it up, that of this one and this one, that's equal. Yeah, so meaning that they both can be done by a zor. They both can be done by a zor, right?
I just, Yaakov, back to my first kasha. By a par, it says the roish and the regel were two separate people. If the reason the regel was brought at the same time as the roish, even though it's out of order, is to cover the base of shkita, then how does it help?
What do you
Did they
mean?
bring it in a different order? The Gemara asked before, why was the roish together with the regel? The regel is the back of the animal, the roish is the top, or the bottom, whatever.
Right. So the Gemara
Says it
before
was
said
to cover the base of shkita. To cover the base of shkita.
right.
So this with the par, since they were brought by two separate people, was the regel, was the seder switched?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Why? I don't see why it should.
Because the only reason the regel was brought with the roish was to cover the roish.
Right.
But here it's not covering the roish.
I hear. I don't know. I don't see why. I mean, it would have said it. Shouldn't it have said that?
I agree. I would have thought so too. But then you can get rid of the reason on Amud Aleph. To cover the base of shkita.
Right.
It's obviously not. That's not the reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, so the aisle, we say that the aisle is 11. The aisle is 11. Mm-hmm. And what do you call it? And the rest of the animal and the par is 24. So talking about a tana. Now the Gemara is just gonna the next blot is gonna talking about. We said that the hefshid and nituach, the last line in the Mishnah, taking off the skin and cutting up the animal, that could be done by yisroel. So the next blot is going to be trying to darshan out the psukim. Really, we should take out a chumash and go through all the psukim. Be a lot easier to understand. But we don't do that. So if you have the psukim on the, if that was Gemara's psukim on the side, it might be helpful. Okay, but the Gemara is going to go through trying to learn out how we know that a Yisrael can do this. Satana. Something more. Hefsheitam v'nituchan shavan besar. Right, the hefshed and tuach are equal by a zar, which is interesting because the Mishnah didn't say that. The Mishnah's lashon was hefsheitam v'nituchan shal elu ve'elu shavan. They're both equal. Doesn't say what they're equal about. However, the Gemara is saying the hefshed and nituach is shavan bezar. So Amar Chizkiya. Minayin lehefshed v'nituach sheshavan bezar. How do we know that hefshed v'nituach is shavan bezar? Shenemar v'nosnu b'nei Aharon hakoyin eish al mizbeach. It says the Bnei Aaron HaKohen put H on the Mizbeach. Nesinas H by Kohuna. So only putting the fire requires a Kohen. Hefshef v'nituchan loy by Kavana. The Hefshef v'nituchan is not a Kahuna. Right? Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, so that's what we're saying. It's an interesting diak because it says only the putting the fire onto the mizbeach requires a kohen. Mashma, the cutting up does not require a kohen. Yeah, but it's mashma. A lot of things then don't require a kohen. Yeah, but so okay, but that's going to be part of understanding this whole drasha. So the Gemara asks now to Amud Aleph, how many but you need it for this. You need it meaning normally when you have a diak. So maybe there's something extra. But here we're saying you need it for Lugufei, right? It's telling you that you need a kohen to put the fire onto the Mizbeach. So how can you right? Like Rashi says, how can you learn a miyut out of that? The reason why the Torah, meaning if the Torah is saying something extra, so you can learn something out of it, right? But here we need the pasuk to tell you that you put the fire onto the mizbeach, so you can't be medayik anything like that. So I'm going to answer. Amar of Simi Barashi, Ashkei Labaya said I found Abaya to have a Mazberle Lebrei, right? Who was explaining Chizkiya's teretz to his son. Right, it's a very interesting. Right, he says like it almost sounds like he met him by a chassan or something, and he happened to be explaining pshat to his son. Now, what is the pshat? Now, this pshat takes like half an Amud. It says v'shochat. It says in the pasuk v'shochat. Yeah, shchita bezar kshera. That tells you that shchita by a zar is kosher. Yeah, ukvechi me'ayin bas. So now, why do you need meaning? Where literally translated is where you coming from? Why would you think that a shchita it has to be done by a kohen? Michlal shenema, because it says you and your sons should be watching the kahuna. That's a literal translation, right? Shomeani afilu shchita. So that says that they should be doing everything with the kahuna. I'm sorry, I just went back. Okay. From Kabbalah and Eilach is the mitzvah of kahuna, right? So only, meaning the pasuk is saying that you need to do everything. That's what's mashal in the first pasuk. So Talmud Loimer, it says v'shochat is ben abakar l'fnei Hashem v'kriu b'nei Aaron akayin v'sadam. Shecht it, and then the b'nei Aaron bring the dam. Mashma mikabala ve'elach mitzvah kahuna, from Kabbalah and on it's mitzvah kahuna, right? V'samach yadai, and then it says v'samach yadai v'shochat, right? You lean your hands on the animal. Smicha, that is right. The one who's making the carbon leans on it. Limit ala shchita sheksher bazar. That will tell you that shchita is kosher bazar because smicha comes before everything else, right? You lean on the animal before everything else. Yeah. So michti. So now let's analyze this whole limit. Michti mikabala ve'elach mitzvah kahuna. From Kabbalah and on is mitzvah kahuna. Benosna b'nei Aaron lamali. Why do you need to say benosna b'nei Aaron? The mu'ute hefshet b'nituach comes to exclude hefshet and nituach, right? So that's what it's telling you, that the cutting up is going to be mutter by yisroel. The Gemara asks, "Vakati it's true." No, but you still need the pasuk. I would have thought, given the lava the since putting the fire onto the mizbeach is not ma'akev, right? Since it's not ma'akev, loiti by kahuna, it doesn't require kahuna. Kamash v'landa by kahuna, so it's telling you, it still needs kahuna. Meaning, if they, for whatever reason, the fire was not put on the mizbeach by a kohen, does that passel up the carbon? No, because that has nothing to do with the carbon. That's parenthetical. That's parenthetical to the. I don't know parenthetical, but it's not the ikar part of the carbon. Right? Hold on a second. Ella mehacha. It's from here. V'archu b'nei Aaron HaKohen. Yeah. V'archu b'nei Aaron HaKohen es nesachim es harosh v'sapoda. It says, and they put on the nesachim, the roish, the poda, the fats, michti, mikabala ve'elach, from Kabbalah and on mitzvahs kahuna. Catching the blood and on is the mitzvah kahuna. Then it says va'archu lamali. So then why do you need? And they should va'archu. Why it says the kayanim should set it up? If from Kabbalah ve'elach, it's all from the kayan. So va'archu, setting up the mizbeach, setting up the fats on the mizbeach. That's of course that's after Kabbalah. Excuse me. Lemute hefshet v'nituach comes to exclude hefshet v'nituach. So the Gemara says, why don't we say that it's coming to exclude the two gzirei? And remember that there's two extra pieces of wood that are supposed to be put onto the mizbeach, right? So maybe that it's coming to tell you Why does it say? Why do we say it's coming to exclude cutting up the animal? Sorry. Why do we say it's coming to exclude cutting up the animal? Why don't we say that it's coming to exclude that the yisroel could put the two pieces of wood onto the Mizbeach? So my answer is mistavra. This is an interesting word. This next word, divcha. Mistavra divcha de kavasei memayit. Right? It's excluding something that's similar to what it's talking about. I don't anybody know how to touch the word divcha? Zevach? Is that what it's? Is that Aramaic for zevach? Yes, Gershon, that's what it is. Okay, there you go. Because in Aramaic, the zayin and the dalet are interchangeable, right? So mistavra divcha de kavasei mamayit. You need to. It's going to exclude a zevach that's similar to it. So hefshef v'nituach is similar, right?
See, Yaakov.
Yeah.
Before, when you said kivin de lava voida hama'akiv, you left out the word kapara. Now the Gemara says kapara, so maybe I would think that everything till the kohen eats it, you need a kohen because you have to eat it to get the kapara.
What are you saying? That it had? What do you mean? That you need?
You skip the word kivin de lava voidis hama'akiv kapara he loy tiboy kuhuna. I would think So I would think if they're talking about kapara, then I would think every step involved till the kohen puts it down his throat. You need it. You need a kohen because the main thing is the carbon is so the person should have a kapara.
Right.
And the kohen has to eat it to have a kapara. So I would think everything until then you need a kohen. Why would I think not? Why would I think not? What? There's a meat. I know a Zarkut chef. So my son-in-law Zevi well could give Yisroel, get some money, then go giving Yisroel and Kibudim to Shtita. But everything after that, you have to get till the Achila. Why would I think anything is all of a sudden? Yes, everybody knows they only a Zarkut chef. Nobody in here ever had a Havamina Zak to do anything else. In the middle of the avoida, Gershon would throw the guy off the Mizbeach. A Zar goes on top of the Mizbeach to put the wood down. What the heck is he doing there? According to Gershon, he can't get within 100 feet of that. Can't come into the Migdash. What's he doing over there? What are these Havaminas?
There's two different questions there. Achil is not ma'akiv for kapara. After Zrika, nothing's ma'akiv.
For a year to get a kapara, the kohen has to eat from the chatas. Otherwise, you don't have a kapara.
Yeah, but one second. If nobody, doesn't it depend which type of carbon? Whether you need
Avad, it depends which type. I mean, Avad, it depends which type. But that's part of the whole process. I mean, a Zar can duchen if he stands on top of the Amud. We know a Zar doesn't duchen, a kohen duchens. What kind of things are these? I mean, okay. I mean,
I don't know. I wish, you know what? I wish I understood. I wish, we said this klal with the drushes. I don't know what's coming or going with the drushes, right?
Wait, but it could be these drushes are how we know. This is how we know.
Could be.
Okay, fine.
I don't know. Ich weiß nicht. Yeah, I hear. But okay, but maybe the hefshin and nituach is really not part. Let's say they took the whole animal and put it onto this bed without cutting it up. Is it fine? I don't know. Let's say a bunch of guys and said, you know what? Let's just get moving here. We don't got to wait for the guy to cut it up. This and that. Let's just carry the whole animal, put it on the mizbeach. Is it me'akiv? L'chayr, it's not. Right? Okay, ich weiß nicht. I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish I had shot in this whole thing. Okay, but anyway, so the Gemara says, so maybe it comes to exclude putting the two blocks of wood on the mizbeach. My answer is it's coming to include that type of carbon similar to it. So the Gemara says, It should be, they're being masader. What's the pasuk talking about? Being masader or putting the things onto the mizbeach. So it should have come to exclude something about including things on top of the mizbeach. Right? So Gemara answers loisakadaita. Okay, loisakadaita. Don't think that. The Omar Mar, the hikr v'koyin es hakol hamizbecha. The koyin brings everything on the mizbeach. Zu haleches evarim lekevesh. That's bringing evarim onto the ramp. Haleches evarim lekevesh hu debai kahuna. Only bringing the stuff onto the ramp requires kahuna. Haleches eitzim loibai kahuna. But bringing the wood does not require kahuna. So you have a fairish pasuk, right? That you don't, that a yisroel can maybe do it. Hasidu shnei gziri eitzim bai kahuna, meaning the wood doesn't need, bringing the wood to the mizbeach doesn't need a kahuna. That a yisroel could do, right? But the shnei gziri eitzim, that requires a kohen. So then va'archu lamali, why do we need va'archu? It's coming to exclude that the cutting up of the animal doesn't need it. So those yisroelim that want to be kohanim, we're giving them enough things that they could do. They could do hefshev v'nituach. They can carry the wood to the mizbeach. They can't put the 2 pieces of wood on the mizbeach, but they can. There's enough things for them to try and do. So then the Gemara says, but the Gemara asks, right? Maybe you need it for itself. Yeah, which we're going to see exactly what the Gemara thinks it should need in a minute. Ella, Victor Akoyin as a kol lamayos says, and if that's the case, then what is Vehikter Akoyin as a kol coming to tell you? Not if that's the case. This is a new thing. So what's Vehikter Akoyin as a kol lamayos? So why is the pasuk saying that the koyin is makar of everything? Right? Lamute hefshev v'nituach. So that's coming to exclude hefshev v'nituach. Okay. Fine. So basically, at the end of the day, we know that a yisroel is allowed to cut up the animal, cut off the skin, and cut up the animal from the pasuk of v'hikriv hakoyin. I'm sorry, v'hikter hakoyin es hakol. The koyin brings everything, right? Okay. So then the Gemara says v'hikriv hakoyin es hakol mizbeach zu halachas evarim lekevesh. The koyin brings everything to the mizbeach. That's bringing the evarim to the ramp. Carrying it requires kahuna. Bringing the wood does not require kahuna. But putting the 2 pieces of wood does require kahuna. Yeah. So now for nasnu gufei, this is what we were saying before. The nasnu is for the kahanim itself, right? To tell you that kahanim need to bring it up onto the mizbeach. Va'archu shnayim. And va'archu is plural, right? They set up the mizbeach, right? So that means there's 2 kahanim, right? Bnei Aharon, and also Bnei Aharon, that's plural. That's shnayim, right? Bnei is plural. That also means 2. Hakayhanim, shnayim, koyhanim, that's double. That's also plural. That's 2. Lamadnu, we learn out from this, letleh, shaton shisha, Tleh requires 6 kohanim to bring it onto the mizbeach. Fine. What does this mean? Amar Rav Muluna, Kasher leil Rebbe Elazar. There was a Kasher Rebbe Elazar. Hai ben Habakar. This whole pasuk is by talking about ben Habakar, not Tleh. Who ben Habakar esem va'arba boy, like the Mishnah said, a ben Habakar requires 24 kohanim. Right? V'nichalei, and he answered it. Ala eitzim asher ala eish asher ala mizbeach. Because it says on the wood, which is on the wood, which is on the fire, that's on the mizbeach. Ezu davar shenemar by eitzim eishim mizbeach. What talks about wood, fire, and mizbeach on Tom Beis? Havayomer. So we say zetleh. That's referring to a tleh, right? So even though the pasuk is talking about bakar, but we say because of these 3 things, so it's got to be talking about a tleh. Right, and it's talking about the Talmud Shashach. So Amar Rav Asi, now new thing. Amar Rav Asi, Amar B'Yochanan, Zar shesider as hamarocha, a zar that is putting the wood onto the marocha chayav. Not only is it no good, but he's chayav misa, right? Misa b'dei shemayim, because he's not allowed. We said a kohen has to be the one to set up the wood on top of the mizbeach, not a yisroel. Okay, so Ketzad U'Oisa, what is he supposed to do? A very interesting set of question and answer here. Ketzad U'Oisa, parka, he takes it apart. The chayav of a sergeant, he goes back and is misader it. Right? So Gemara says, Maya Hanile, what's that going to help? Because the Gemara thinks that the yisroel takes the wood off the mizbeach and puts it back. right? So it says, what does that help? Saying what the Havamina is, I don't know. The Gemara answers, Zar. No, the Zar has to take it apart. The Sidra Kayan, and then the Kayan puts it on. Right? Meaning, what happened was the Yisrael set up the wood on the Mizbeach. That's no good. He's chayav misa. Now you have puzzle of wood on the Mizbeach. So the Gemara thinks, okay, let the Yid take it apart and put it back together. Okay, what did that help? You right back to where you started. So one answer is no, the Yisrael takes it apart, and the Yid and the Kayan puts it back on. Right? So what's the Chiddush? That the Yisrael can take it apart. Because you would think, get off the Mizbeach, right? Rabbanan, like he's saying, what is he doing there? Get out of there. Right? So we say, no, you Yisrael came onto the Mizbeach, you could take it apart too. We don't say like, get him out of there. Take apart what you did, and then we'll get a coin to put it back together. Right? And he's still going to be chayav misa, l'chayra. Right? Because he was misad, even though he reversed what he did, right? The Yisrael put the wood onto the Mizbeach, right? And then he took it apart. But Lamaisa, he did a puzzle thing, even though at the end of the day they didn't end up using it. Right? They caught it in time. Yeah. So the l'chayra, he's chayiv. But maybe I don't know, l'chayra, right? Meaning he did a maisa. It's an interesting shayla, right? He did a maisa that's chayiv and misa, but the maisa was caught before he did it. Before, meaning before it went into effect. They caught it. So I don't know. L'chayra is still chayiv misa, but I don't know. Anyways, okay. So vaytus a mask of Lord of Zeira. Is it possible that there's an avodah that's kosher to be done at night, and it's possible for a zar? Right? Meaning everything in the base of Mikdash is pretty much done during the day. Right? And there are some things that are done at night. So now he's saying a new rule. If it's kosher if it's an avodah that you do at night, it's not as chashuv, and therefore a Yisrael can do it. Yeah? So he's asking on this, because when did they set up the wood? It was at night to burn. This is after the carbon tamid shel bein arbaim, and at night they're putting on the wood, setting it up so that they can burn all the fats and the limbs the whole night. So he's asking, why should a yid be chayiv if it's an avodah that's done at night? So the Gemara says, what do you mean? There is avodah at night, and if a Yisrael does it, it's going to be no good. Putting the avarim and pedarim onto putting the fats and all that stuff has to be done by a kohen. So when it says saif avodah yimamahu, right? We had this Gemara before, a couple of blot ago. That's not considered a night avodah. That's considered the end of the day avodah, because you're taking all the korbanos that were brought during the day and you're being mocked with them at night. Think about varei trumas hadeshin. What about the trumas hadeshin that's done early in the morning? Right? That also needs a kohen. That can't be done by Yisrael. So Gemara says, that's also not an independent night thing. That's considered the tchila of the day avodah. They have to clear off the ashes from the Mizbeach. Right? If the kohen washes his hands of Shumas Hadeshin, even though it's the middle of the night, the next day he doesn't need to wash his hands. Since he washed it already tchilas avodah, and he's been up and being Isaac and avodah the whole time, so his washing of the hands was enough. He doesn't have to wash again. Right? Remember we said a mushal to this. If you wake up before Alois and you wash your hands and you're hacking around, and you're supposed to wash your hands again when it turns day. So we're saying the kohen does not have to do this, right? Because he's already considered washed from the beginning. Yeah, what do you want to say?
So Rav Hutner was by the Satmar Rebbe for a meeting. It was late in the afternoon. It was like way past the Shkia. The Gabba came in and said to the Rebbe, it's Mincha was starting. Mincha is starting. So the Rebbe said to Rav Hutner, he says, the Rosh Yeshiva daven Mincha. So he said, Heint noch nish.
Very good. That's pretty funny.
What the high means tomorrow?
No,
today.
It's already tomorrow.
Today.
He meant tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Tzvi Yaakov,
Yeah.
What you just said about the Tzils Yadayim, Negelwasser, according to the Rosh, that this, the Kier, the Avodah Sakuna, is the reason we wash the Tzils Yadayim. If someone gets up before Alois to learn, and that's Chalos Ayoim, could we learn from this Gemara he doesn't need to wash again?
That's what I'm saying. From this Gemara's mashma not. It's very negay. Next week, Bez Hashem, right? Next Shavuos by night. So by Alois, you're supposed to wash Negelwasser. Nobody, as far as I know, gets up. They don't make a clap on the bima and get everybody to stand up and stop learning to wash Negelwasser. That's exactly what the Paiskim say. Since I don't know if they say it's based on this Gemara, but l'chayra, you're right, because the bittul Torah is not kedai. You samich on the shitas that hold that you don't need to wash Negelwasser because you're up a whole night. But being up a whole night is different than when you get up in before. But one thing is zicher. If you get up to go to the bathroom after Alois, you do have to wash Negelwasser. But anyway, the Welt anyways washes Negel because they think you have to after the bathroom, which is okay. But yeah, but the Yanochanami, this is a proof. This is a proof to that.
I was asking slightly differently. Shavuos night, it's Avodas Laila or Avodas Yom?
It's Tchilas Avodas, it's Saif Avodas Laila, Tchilas Avodas
Laila. So that would need. I was saying, if someone who gets up early every day before Alois and learns, he needs to wash before he starts learning because he woke up, but he doesn't need to wash again because that was his Avodas Hayom. He started his day early.
Right. Yeah, I hear. But I mean, Lamaisa, the Pais can say you're supposed to wash your hands again. You don't say Anatilas Yadayim, you wash your hands again. So, yeah. Okay, so Gemara says, okay, let's see. V'advel kasha. Lamaisa, it's a kasha. Is there such a thing as an avodah that's done in the Beis Hamikdash by night that's possible by a zor? So Gemara answers, Elak Yitmar Hachi Yitmar. What Reb Zera, what the Gemara is saying that Reb Zera is correct, and an avodah at night would not be possible for a yisroel. So now, what does Rabbi Yochanan mean? Elak Yitmar Hachi Yitmar. This is what Rabbi Yochanan is saying. Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Zor Shesidu Shnei Gzirei Eitzim. Not the stam wood. The stam wood would be okay. The shnei gzirei, the two extra pieces of wood, like the logs that are supposed to right? The logs that are meant to be burned all night. Chayav, that is chayav. Hoyel avodas yom, because it's an avodas yom. Right? Because it says, why is it avodas yom? Rashi says, because it says ubir oleh akoyin eitzim baboiker baboiker. So that's something that it's supposed to be done baboiker, even though they did it in the morning and they did it at night. Okay, so then maskav lo rava elamiata tiboy pious. If that's the case, then it should be a lottery. It should be one of the raffles for the kehanim to do. So my answers ishtamitze hadatanya ishtamitze from the word shmita. It slipped from his mind. This that we learned in the Brisa, Misha Zacha b'Trumas Hadeshen, that whoever was Zaycha won the lottery for the Trumas Hadeshen, Zacha b'Sidur Maracha, is Zaycha in the Sidur Maracha, b'Sidur Shnei Gzirei Eitzim, and the putting on the two woods, meaning that was one raffle for all three avodas, right? The Trumas Hadeshen also got to put the wood on and to put the two extra pieces. So Gemara says, L'meimer the avodas yoim b'Yom Payis. Do you mean to say that day avodas require the lottery? Avodas laila loy b'Yom Payis, but night avodas don't require pious. But putting on the limbs and the fats, right? And that we said that they do. That's a night avodah, and that's part of the lottery. So Gemara answers same shakavatari. That's not Ivarim and Pedarim is not a independent night avodah. That's the end of the day avodah. Parei Trumas Hadeshen, where you have Trumas Hadeshen. So Gemara answers that's Mishum Ma'aseh Shahaya. Trumas Hadeshen was a night avodah, but that's because of the Ma'aseh Shahaya that they got killed or they fell off the Mizbeach, right? The kasha is, let's see if anybody's on their toes, right? Is why the Gemara didn't had the same kasha before and said Trumas Hadeshen is the beginning of the day avodah, right? So the Gemara what's the Gemara answering a different answer? The Gemara could have just answered, this is the beginning of the day avodah, right? So really, Taisa says before is that it could have answered that, but you would have then said, but it got a sakana. So the Gemara is just going with the question that works according to everything. So Gemara says, "L'meimer da avodas yom." Now, what are we saying that the avoid of the yoim, the shazar chayav aleh misa, and if a zar is chayav misa boy pious, it requires a lottery. Ain't zav chayav aleh misa, but if a yid would not be chayav misa loy boy pious, it wouldn't be part of the lottery. Bare shchita, where you have shchita, shchita is part of the lottery, and that's kosher bar yid. Meaning the Gemara now thinks that one of the requirements for lottery, two requirements, it has to be a day avodah, and it has to be possible for a yisroel. But shchita is part of the lottery, and that's kosher for Yisrael. So my answer, shani shchita, the tchilas avodah. Shchita is the tchil of the avodah. Since it's the first avodah that you have to do, you have to shech. So mamela, there's a lottery, even though theoretically a Yisrael can do it. Right? So I just wonder if a kohen wins the lottery, can he give it away to a Yisrael? Right? I mean, all the kohanim are all trying to get an avodah, so they all put out their fingers. They're all trying to be in the lottery, and then a kohen wins it, and then he says, "You know what? I'm giving it to my cousin, the Yisrael, to do the shechita." I imagine that would cause a lot of animosity. Is that allowed, or is that considered like it's just given over to the kohen? I don't know. I don't know. Face nicht. Yeah. Okay. So Amar Zutra. But did we not learn this in the Mishnah? Amar lehem amamuna tu v'ro imegiyas man shchita. Go out and see if it came time for shchita. Ve'eluz man shnei gzirei etzim loikatoni. But it doesn't say go out and see if it's time to put the two pieces of wood, right? So that means that putting the two pieces of wood has got to be a night avodah, because if it's a day avodah, he should say go out, go upstairs. Meaning they couldn't tell whether it was nets or not, so they had to go up to a second floor. We're going to see this later on in the Mishnah. Either they had to go up to a second floor, or they had to go up higher to see if the sun already rose. Right? So it's saying go up and see if the sun rose, so we know when we're allowed to start shechting the animals. Why don't you say go upstairs and see if the sun rose? So I could put the two pieces of wood on top of the Mizbeach. Right? So it doesn't say that. So it must be that the reason why they don't care is because even if they end up putting the two pieces of wood on the Mizbeach early, it's fine because it works at night. If it works at night, then it shouldn't need a kohen. So Gemara answers, Hachta lesle takanta katani. If there's no takana, then that we learned. Right? Hachta isle takanta, then like katani. If there's a takana, but you couldn't. Meaning if you shech by mistake at night, you botched the whole thing. So we need to send the guy upstairs to make sure it's daylight. Right? But if you put the two pieces of wood on the Mizbeach, okay, shine. So you'll take it off, or you put it on during the day. There's no damage. Right? There's no damage that's going to come to that. Right? Yeah, that's one. Now the question is where we should stop here. I don't know. Okay, let's just go a little weiter. I don't know. It's just going to take us down the whole next part of the Amud. Okay, it's late already, Matzah Shabbos. Okay, we'll stop over here. We'll continue. We'll have to chazar back a couple of lines in order, because this next Gemara takes up Amud. It's pretty much a repeat of the last Gemara, anyways. But yeah, we'll stop over here. Okay, I'm sorry I was a little late. A good tvach and a good yar. Yeah.
Good luck. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, good yar,
Tziyakov.
Yeah.
What avodas laila are there? What is avodas laila?
What is avodas laila? What there is no avodas laila for the most. That's what the Gemara is saying, no?
I mean, the Gemara has a cloud that avodas laila is kosher bizarre, but there's no avodas laila. How does that work?
I think that's gufa. That is what the Gemara is saying. There's nothing for the Zohar to do at night.
It's just an odd way to say it. Just tell me that all the Zohar is possible in all avodas except for shchita and shteik zirei eitzim, and then I know everything else. What do I need these klalim? Yoim, Laila. Yoim and Laila have nothing to do with anything. So it seems like the Gemara has to say that the Ivarim of Pedarim are Saif Avodas Yamama. Otherwise, a Zar would be allowed to do them. It's just a weird thing. So why would you say that? A Zar is not allowed to do any Avodah. Let it be Avodas Laila.
Theoretically, if there was an avodas laila, then it would be mutter for a zar to do it. But there is. You're saying it's semantics. That's what you're asking.
It's yeah, but I mean, it's more than it's Reb Zeira talking. It's an odd way to say something.
Right. I don't know. Same thing with the rest of the questions on Daf. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right. Fine. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay, good talk. You have any maybe come up with any answers for tomorrow's Daf would be helpful. But
But
yeah.
on the next Mishnah.
Whatever. There's more kashas. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, it gets into Yom Kippur, the next one. Of course, there's more cautious.
Yeah. Haven't even looked at it yet. Usually I do a couple of blot ahead. I got backed up over Shabbos, so I got to do that now or soon, whatever, when I get a chance. Anyways, all right. Good talk.
Good talk.
Good.
Shkayv to you.